language is different. For instance, we wouldn't think in meter. My mentor, Tukwe in Ghana, writes, and of course, there's a generational gap, but I've read his work, and he writes to the rhythm of a drum, of a talking drum. And so his writing, the meter of his writing depends on the imagined rhythm of the drum in his head. And therefore, it won't be iambic. And if he's playing a slow rhythm, then his writing will reflect that. And also, he's very influenced by the kind of address that's used in particularly Ga settings. And so in a Ga setting, if I wanted to address the audience, I would first ask if they were there. And this is kind of, not to say that they're not there, but they need to be attentive as well. So there's always a call and response element. And so he prefaces his work with that. Now, in my generation, or in my writing, I assume that I'm being listened to. Maybe we have more ego. So I don't do so much of the asking. However, I think that in the way in which we read, the influence comes in there, because none of us, and I'm talking particularly from my perspective, assumes that the audience has to listen to me. So I make that extra effort to communicate in the way in which I deliver. And that's the primary influence I've taken. But then the influence you take is what you choose, really. And when I read poems in Ga, they're slightly different, because I think that language also imposes rhythm on things. The reason why a lot of English verse was in iambic pentameter is because if you look at the natural rhythm of English speech, people would pause for a breath after 10 beats, sort of thing. And so even though it became fixed in stone, it's something that came out of something organic. And I think this is one of the kind of downsides of writing things down, because sometimes then it comes to haunt us, and it comes to tie us down, and then we can't break out of it. Because the rhythm of speech has changed. And that's why American poetry has such a different character, because American speech, for a very short time was probably related to English speech, but it changed very quickly, and with all the languages that came in, and the influence of the slaves and the Swedes and the Italians, and so that's why you find that free verse really picked up in America and gained its strength. So I don't know if that answers your question precisely, but
yes, it sounds as if it's a lot freer than the